Good evening and welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Chamud Fernando. Let's have a look at the headlines. Sri Lankan delegation engages in talks with World Bank officials in DC. Government announces hike in tourist visa fee. Now the news in detail. State Minister Shehan Semasinghe met with IMF Deputy Managing Director Kenji Okamura to discuss recent socio-economic development and reaffirmed Sri Lanka's commitment to macroeconomic policies and reforms. The Sri Lankan delegation led by State Minister Semasinghe held talks with IMF World Bank officials at the IMF World Bank Group's spring meetings in Washington, D.C. recently.
Discussions with the IMF and World Bank executives also focus on the macroeconomic landscape of Sri Lanka and potential benefits from internal restructuring within these organizations. In a productive discussion, Okamura emphasized the importance of preserving the gains achieved under the IMF program and maintaining strong ownership moving forward. Accompanied by the Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and Treasury Secretary Mahinda Siriwardana, Semasinghe highlighted the recent reforms and assured continuity in the macroeconomic policies. Semasinghe also engaged with the Business Council for International Understanding to explore prospects across various sectors like education, tourism, renewable energy, agriculture and technology. World Bank Executive Director for India and Sri Lanka, Parameswaram Iyer, further underscored collaborative opportunities to drive sustainable economic growth and development in Sri Lanka.
State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe has reaffirmed Sri Lanka's commitment to debt restructuring negotiations with principles of equitable treatment among creditors and maximum transparency.
Semasinghe emphasized the discussions with the ad hoc group of bondholders are conducted confidentially under non-disclosure agreements due to the price-sensitive nature of negotiations and market regulations. Semasinghe highlighted the constructive progress made in recent confidential discussions with bondholders' representatives. Both parties have worked to bridge technical issues and articulate key concerns. Next steps involve further consultation with IMF staff to assess the compatibility of proposals with program parameters.
The Sri Lankan government has announced a significant hike in the standard tourist visa fee, raising it by over 100%. The Immigration and Immigration Department unveiled the new visa procedures and launched an online visa issuing system recently.
Under the new system, the standard tourist visa fee for non-SAARC countries has increased to $75 with additional charges bringing the total individual visa fee to $100.77. SAARC country tourists also faced increased fees, now set at $35 for the standard visa. The adjustment comes at a crucial time for Sri Lanka tourism, which is recovering from the aftermath of the Easter Sunday attacks in 2019 and facing ongoing economic challenges. While Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority Chairman Priyantha Fernando mentioned the possibility of providing free visas to over 50 countries, he indicated that it requires more consideration.
Stay tuned, we will return after this commercial break. Welcome back. The Ambassador for France in Sri Lanka, Jean-Francois Pactek, visited the Hambantota International Port to explore potential business opportunities for French companies recently.
During the visit, Tissa Wickramasinghe, COO of HIPG, met with embassy delegates and discussed the port's core business areas, including its growth in sectors such as oil and gas and container operations. Wickramasinghe highlighted HIP's expected increase in bulk cargo volumes by the end of the year. The duo discussed the port's corporate social responsibility and environmental, social and governance contributions. Accompanying Ambassador Pactet were Deputy Economic Councillor Hema Ramachandran and Press Attaché Dinusha Elleperuma. The COO of HIP presented Ambassador Pactet with a token to commemorate the visit.
Samagi Janabalawege Parliament member Evan Wickramaratne said that the central bank is unable to ensure maximum returns from the Employment Provident Fund because of the conflict of interest that occurs with government borrowing. Wickramaratne also said that under an SJB government, the Employment Provident Fund will be managed independently to maximize returns for the working class people. The Member of Parliament said this speaking at a press conference held in Colombo recently.
We know that the EPF hasn't often got the maximum return it should have got. The central bank has managed it for a long time, and there's a conflict of interest there because often the government borrows and the central bank has to provide the government at the lowest possible interest rate. On the other hand, it has a responsibility to provide the highest return for the employees of the Provident Fund. So it's a conflict. The recent diagnostic report of the IMF states that this should be looked into and an independent management authority needs to be set up. So we are certainly going to make sure that the EPF gets the highest return. There has been much criticism recently when the returns were announced last year at 9% on the EPF, and on the private provident funds, including the central bank private provident fund, of about a 29% return. So these are not easy to explain to any employee in the EPF. And then when the government went into the debt restructuring scheme, they had to restructure foreign debt, which they're still struggling to do. And they restructured the local domestic debt. Again, the pressure was initially brought immediately on the Employees Provident Fund. So we want to make sure that this Employees Provident Fund, the value is protected so that people in their retirement work 30, 40 years and maybe retire and live 20, 30, 40 years, that they could live with dignity.
Speaking at the press conference, Member of Parliament Harsha De Silva said that the government must develop a mechanism to manage its liabilities in the market in order to minimize the risks that will occur with the debt restructuring process.
Supposing we form the next government and we look at all this and we see that is not the optimum for Sri Lanka. You see what I'm saying? So then we must be able to manage that liability. So in order to do that, we should be able to aggressively restructure our liabilities. We would want to aggressively restructure our liabilities post-restructure so that the liability management will be in the best interest, optimum interest of Sri Lanka. So that would mean, buying back some of the existing bonds, buying back some of the warrants that may be available out there. So therefore, I don't want to be completely tied, my hands behind my back for the next 25 years. We are entering into a framework that is based on exogenous factors. Others have imposed conditions on us, which may or may not be the best interest for Sri Lanka. So I want to ensure that when we form the government in 6 months' time, that we will be able to then in the market, not with the bondholders, in the market have a mechanism to manage our liabilities.
Stay tuned for the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on negative notes today. The all-share price index dropped 33.10 points to close at 11,797.84, and the S&P SL20 dropped 15.92 points to close at 3,475.40. The turnover was 2.2 billion rupees and over 71 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe our channel on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.